You've already mixed your beautiful shadow. So this shadow changes colors a little bit as it goes around, gets darker below. There's maybe a little yellow tinge in the upper part of that cup handle. And down here, softens out the bottom. So the other place I see shadow on this cup is on the front, on the very front. And it's kind of a greenish feeling shadow. It's more green than the shadow on the cup handle. So I'm going to add a little green to my shadow mixture. What's happening is more of a reflection from the green cloth. That's really what's happening here. So we don't want a whole lot of water or a lot of pigment. We want more water on our brush than pigment right now. So we're getting a tint of the shadow color. I'm trying to leave a white rim, at least for highlights around the top of this cup. And rinsed my brush and pull this all together as a big wash. Nice wash. And let that first stroke of green that's still wet. I'm actually painting around this tea bag string as well. If you really don't want to have to deal with the tea bag, even though it looks interesting, the string, just leave it out and paint the cup as is. You always have artist's license to make changes like that. So I'm adding a little bit of a yellowy feeling coming through, and since the light is on the right, it's getting even whiter over here. I'm putting a really pale tint right now of green, very pale, even more pale than anything I've painted yet. And I'll give that edge there a little bit of gray right next to the string from the tea bag label. And there might be just a little bit of a reddish tone in my gray, so I keep changing my grays. It not only do I see it, but I think it's going to make my painting more interesting. And there might even be just a little bit of a reddish feeling up at the top too. So you can teach your eyes to look for colors. This side, sometimes it's fun to put a little bit of a complementary color shadow on an object. Complementary meaning the opposite on the color wheel from the cloth below. So right now this all looks kind of pale green and blue. And this is right above the T line I'm painting. Pale, and over here I see a shadow, but on the left side where the light is hitting, over here I don't see a shadow. So I'm coming in with the shadow back here, right up to the rim, leaving a little light highlight there because the rim has that. And I still see some reddish feeling in this shadow here. So these three colors can do a lot of good stuff. And then since the light is hitting over here on this side, there might be just a little bit of warm, a yellowy tone. So let's mix the color for the tea. It's very dark tea. It's very strong tea. It's been sitting in there a long time. And I would say generally it's a red-brown color. So I'm going to use this warm yellow, mix it with some of this alizarin crimson, and I'm getting something that needs a little blue maybe. Something brownish, reddish brown, that's how I see it. And in the end, it doesn't matter exactly what color you make it, but just take a look and see what you see. So the T line is here, and I see a kind of an orangey glow at the edge of that, and then I'll get into a really nice dark brown, red, dark reddish brown color coming around here. It doesn't stay the same color all the way around, I'm noticing. Okay, let's see if I can just get a little bump here where that string is. So again, I'm painting around white. Every time I paint around something that is white, I'm doing negative space painting. And that is a great way to practice keeping your whites. And this kind of has a blurry edge. It's not a super sharp edge, so I'm gonna let that brown touch the shadow that I laid in there earlier. And this has a sort of a soft edge too, so I don't want to have too much water on my brush, taking off the excess water before I did that. Yeah. So we've got our T in. Let's make it darker up front. Darken my brown with a little blue and a little more red, and better get a little swipe of yellow in there. So, and really just darken this up right here. This seems to be the darkest place I see in the T. So this is colorful, a colorful white. At the bottom of the teacup, there's a shadow and some reflection, but we're not going to do that right now. I'm just going to go ahead and use this. This looks like a great shadow tone for under the cup. So I added a little blue to it. You know, it might just be a little more transparent-y with blue. Okay, let's just make a little bit of a shadow here. So that's more of a teal. That's phthalo blue mixed the shadow color. The fabric's kind of wrinkly and bumpy here, so I'll make a little shapy thing going on. And the shadow comes all the way up here and out. So I'm keeping it light right now, but it can go a little darker. And I know my cup is wet, so I don't want to be touching the edge of my cup. Otherwise it will get watermarks. It will create watermarks, backwashes. So that's, and the color of this fabric that it's sitting on the table is a yellowy green. So let's stroke that in right away. And it's paler in the back. Let's stroke it in right away before the shadow I placed there dries. And come right on. This shadow does not have a sharp edge. It is, it's got diffused light. Again, I'm painting around the string of the teacup, of the tea label, and around here. And it's white with little yellow print, or blue print on it. So here we go on the other side. Just look and see now, right here, it looks pretty light, so I rinsed my brush a little bit. Maybe I'd add a little tiny bit of yellow right there. And also very light right here, maybe a little. Keep it light and keep it yellow in the light, warmth. And back here, I want to lighten that up a little more than I did. I'm going to come back and darken that shadow later, but I did want to show you painting around the form creates the white shape. And here's the handle. And up here the green gets a little bluer. And a lot bluer up here, a lot more blue right here behind the top of the cup. So let's add a little blue and make that dark right there. So pretty soon the white is standing out because we've painted around it. That's why. Negative space painting. It's great stuff. You could use masking fluid, but it's great to learn to negative space paint, because what if you don't have masking fluid someday and this needs to be darker? What if you're stranded in the desert and you have no masking fluid? Well, you're going to need to paint around the white. Leave the white of the paper. We don't have white paint, or we don't use it. There is a white watercolor called permanent white gouache, actually, is what I would recommend if you're going to use white for watercolor. Anyway, we don't need that. That wouldn't look, it wouldn't really be very pleasing. And inside the handle, I see a variation going from a lighter green here. Yeah, it's like filling in the puzzle pieces. Pretty light and pretty yellow down here in the corner. And it gradually moves into a little bit of a deeper blue or green at the top of that shape. And this comes right up to the edge. Yeah, there's no white against the edge in this, on this handle.